right, welcome back. In today's Spotlight, the fallout continues following the decision by Harvard University President Claudine Gay to step down following testimony in which she failed to condemn calls for genocide against Jews as hate speech. Now, billionaire hedge fund manager and Harvard alum Bill Ackman is calling for the resignation of the entire board that supported keeping the school's embattled former president in her position. He argues that their departure is necessary in order to restore the institution's reputation. In a 4,000-word post on X, the billionaire said, in part, "I came to learn that the root cause of anti-Semitism at Harvard was an ideology that had been promulgated on campus, an oppressor-oppressed framework that provided the intellectual bulwark behind the protests, helping to generate anti-Israel and anti-Jewish hate speech and harassment." I want to bring back our panel here, Mike, John, Christina, and LZ. And so, John, here, let's start here with you. Conservatives essentially celebrating her resignation, claiming victory here. But is there a cause now to replace Harvard's entire board as well?
Well, I mean, I don't know the particulars of the Harvard's board, but I will tell you that for every action, there's a reaction. And what was dumbfounded to me about this was when those three highly educated university heads went to Congress, how they didn't anticipate the gotcha question, and how they didn't simply say in response to if someone's calling for the genocide of Jews or of any race, that they should be immediately condemned as against the code of conduct. They tried to waffle, and now they have this problem. So I guess it's a great lesson. Answer the question directly and be prepared for be better prepared. As for the board, they've got some explaining to do to see if the conduct that's gone on at the university is something that they overlooked or swept under the rug, or it's something that they're willing to address.
And Christina, look, there's been a lot of talk about Harvard's potential fears here of offending their wealthy donors. It has the largest endowment of any university at some $50 billion. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, the job of an academic institution is not to appease its donors. It's to make sure that it's holding up the academic rigor and serving as an institution to educate its people. Look, John is right. How the answer was answered during that testimony didn't actually say what it needed to say. Anti-Semitism has no place in our institutions, nor does Islamophobia. However, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik and many of the people attacking Claudine Gay are no friends of the Jewish community. These are the same people that have also pushed anti-Semitic tropes, great replacement theories, and the plagiarism attacks we've seen on Claudine Gay were not made by academic peers, but by extremist right-wing activists. So don't believe all the smoke and mirrors that you're hearing that the right wing wants to throw at this. This is a political hit job on the first black female president of Harvard.
Mike, what's your response there to Christina?
Yeah, I want to respond both to Christina and to John and what they said. I think John is absolutely right in terms of not being prepared for the gotcha questions. Where Dr. Gay and the two other university presidents went wrong was hiring that law firm to prepare them as if they were going to be up for a legal battle into the courtroom based upon what they said versus addressing the sentiment, the anti-Semitism on campus. To what Christina is saying is absolutely right in the sense of the racist rhetoric, and that stems from the tweet when the billionaire donor mentioned that this was a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire. Once D&I came into the picture, that inserted race into the conversation, which individuals in corporate America and a larger broth of society looks at diversity in the wrong space. They look at it as someone who isn't qualified, right? That doesn't mean someone isn't qualified because there's diversity strategies in place at corporations and institutions. She's more than qualified. Then the scholarly examination of her work, we didn't see that being done to the two other presidents going through their research, going through her dissertations. It singled out Dr. Gay. Furthermore, the academic institutions and her colleagues expressly said that there was no scholarly approach into looking at the examination that looked at origination of her research. There is an erosion of our federal agencies as well as our institutions of higher learning at play, which is a larger narrative to be addressed.
And to your point there, Mike, I'll bring this to you, LZ. I have part of the quote there that he brought up in his post on X. He went on to say that political advocacy movement on behalf of certain groups that are deemed oppressed under DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is their own methodology. How is that tied? Do you agree with what Mike said there, that that's tied to this sense of anti-Semitism that some people are complaining about on campus at Harvard?
I don't really believe any of this has anything to do with anti-Semitism. I believe this is just an extension of Brown versus education. I believe this has been a continual push by conservatives to try to keep education for only some. And I think every time you look through all the various ways in which education has been attacked, as it pertains to affirmative action, as it pertains to diversity, this is typically the argument that somehow, some way, the rigors aren't being met by those who do not look like us. And they may be trying to use anti-Semitism to justify this attack, but it's the same attack, just in a different form. And it's important that we call these things out, because if we don't call them out as they happen in real time, we actually start believing the lie is the truth, and we start second guessing, when in fact no one ever asked if all these legacy emissions are qualified. We assume they're qualified because they're legacy, right? So let's be honest about what this conversation actually is, and not be distracted by the fact that these sort of opportunistic elected officials and the billionaire donor is trying to take advantage of the anti-Semitism conversation, when really this is much about just diversity in general.
I mean, they really honed in on her comments when she was testifying. So, John, I'd like you to respond to LZ and Mike and Christina here in their opinions.
Well, I mean, I agree with a lot of what they're all saying, but the bottom line is that this, you know, at its core, these answers could be construed and should be construed probably as a form of anti-Semitism. It shouldn't be tolerated. But to LZ's point, he's absolutely right. There's a lot of things that go on at universities that are being attacked that are good things that are going on at universities. Diversity of thought, inclusion. Those are things that are hallmarks of our society, and that's always sometimes a struggle. So I applaud the universities for doing that. And LZ's right. Sometimes they get under attack because of it. But I don't think you should confuse what they did in this instance. That is, they blew the answers should have been an easy answer, like Christina said. It was an easy answer. Make it unequivocal, and they would still have their jobs right now. Instead, 2 out of 3 of them have lost their jobs. So, I mean, that's a good lesson.
Right.
Kana, what John is saying is right, but what makes this problematic, though, is that we don't see the parity of the dissertation and the scholarly work of the other 2 presidents being examined. We don't see any of the diversity and equity inclusion narrative around the general broad stroke. So we've already established, like, they were wrong in their hearing by not addressing anti-Semitism heads on, but it's what came after that which illuminates the larger narrative that is also at play in conversation with anti-Semitism.
All right, Mike, John, Christina, and LZ, our thanks as always to you for this conversation.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.